Hey guys, Scott Fishman here, ahead of the big AEW Dynamite this week. Who better to talk to than a member of the Blackpool Combat Club? He has a big match coming up this Wednesday night. Wheeler Yuta, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Like you said, got a big match coming up this week. Very excited for it. Just getting mentally and physically prepared.
When I think of Wheeler, I always think of I don't know, Captain Planet. Is that something that you watched when you were growing up, or?
No, that was not where the name came from, but that is a good one. I do like
No,
it.
yeah, I always think of that though, like with me growing up with. So whenever I saw you, I was like, I gotta ask him that. If you'd ever got people have gone up to him and asked him if that was the same where the name came from.
Right. Yeah, it was actually given to me by my trainer, but I do think he was a Captain Planet fan, so
Oh,
it
okay,
might
so there was a direct, indirect connection there.
maybe.
So, you have this big matchup with Kenny Omega. You had that big win at Double or Nothing. Just talk about what's your mindset. It's amazing that it's only been about a year or so. This journey that you've taken. How do you kind of reflect on that as far as like growing in confidence? Learning from some of these guys who have been around for so long, traveled the roads up and down, has done virtually everything. So take me through the journey. In the past year.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely wild ride. It started with, of course, it sort of felt like a trial series. Trying to prove myself through matches with Brian and then with John. And then sort of getting that final stamp of approval from them as well as from William Regal was really special to me. Then having Claudio come into the fold, like he just felt like he should have been there the whole time. He was one of the guys that like was just tailor made for the group, and he's been awesome. He's been such a great mentor to me. But if anything, those guys have really shown me like you just have to kind of take everything day by day and continue to move forward, continue to not lose focus. So for as much as they've taught me, like they've taught me things by like directly training before the shows, just sending me advice, going over our matches when it's done. It's been incredible, and like the just the variety of different like opponents that I've faced and been able to get feedback from, like everyone from like Chris Jericho to Katsuyori Shibata, like being able to have all these different matches and then get different feedback from those guys, like you said, has really helped grow my confidence and I think grow me as a performer. But one thing, like I said, they focus on is you just have to keep moving forward. You have to always focus on that next goal. So now I'm really focused on how do I continue to level up? I won that main event, Double or Nothing, and that was obviously the biggest victory of my career. But hopefully, I can now continue moving forward. Hopefully, the biggest singles victory of my career coming up this week, and then just keep the momentum rolling.
Incredible just following your journey. I mean, here in Orlando, I remember attending these MLW shows at the Gilt nightclub and seeing you on the card. And it's just incredible for me to see you this Wednesday in such a big time main event match. When you're facing Kenny Omega this week, he doesn't have very many singles matches. He hasn't had very many singles matches recently. Talk about just having the AEW having that confidence in you, and you feel that added pressure when you're put in this kind of scenario.
I mean, of course, it's a huge match, and yeah, it's very special anytime Kenny has a singles match. Especially this is his first one. I believe it's his first singles match on Dynamite in Canada, so it's going to be a very important match, and obviously, it's very important for the rivalry between the BCC and the Elite. So yeah, it is a big vote of confidence that we can have this match, and that it's obviously going to be very important to our whole rivalry. So hopefully I'll be able to deliver, and I think I've delivered already throughout this rivalry and throughout the match at Anarchy at the arena. But hopefully, we can just continue to keep that ball rolling.
One thing, it's interesting times right now with AEW. They have Collision that just premiered. You've worked on Ring of Honor TV as well. You've been a big part of that show. What's your opinion when it comes to rosters? And do you feel like there should be kind of defined Ring of Honor roster, a defined Dynamite, and a defined Collision? Or do you kind of like the idea of guys kind of jumping around and having that experience in kind of different crowds and different environments?
Yeah, I understand like the people that really want like a very strict defined split between the rosters. I think that can create some interesting scenarios, but I also think that part of what AEW has really been founded on is that just there hasn't been boundaries. Like not only do we not have boundaries within our own company, but within other companies, like people from Impact have come over, people from the NWA have come over, people from New Japan obviously have come over for Forbidden Door. So there's been so much like interpromotional play that I almost think that if we were to make it super strict, where it's like you're on this show and you're only on this show, I think that that kind of could take away maybe from all the things that we've done so far. But I also think that there's merits to having just those separate rosters, because then when someone does come over, it is a lot more special. So I could go either way, honestly. I kind of like where everyone's intermingling, excuse me, but I understand why people would want those separate rosters too.
Yeah. There's always a speculation of what happens backstage and behind the scenes. CM Punk just came back. The dynamic backstage, a lot of big changes have been made. If you're back there, you're in the trenches, there's a lot of misinformation out there. What can you tell us the vibe is with AEW as they're kind of in their biggest summer ever when it comes to the video game coming out? You just came off a really great Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Blood and Guts is coming out, all in, all out. So take me through that. You're in there week to week, so take us through that peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly the kind of person that tries to keep to myself and keep to my own things and focus on what I'm doing. But for me, the general vibe, just for myself and for everyone backstage, sort of just feels like excitement. We have all these huge events coming up. We just came off of Forbidden Door, which was just an incredible show. We're going into obviously to Wembley Stadium. We have All In, we have All Out, we have so many great things. We have the Fight Forever video game. So I think that for a lot of us, it's just excitement to see. All right, now all these things that we've really been working for and really hoping for are starting to come to fruition. So I think that there's a general air of optimism in the locker room, I would say, and I think that that's just going to continue to grow with our success.
Following this match, no rest for the weary. As you come up, you have your Blood and Guts match, the Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite going at it. You've been in this match before. Is you kind of get a different feel going into this time as opposed to the last time? Is there anything that you took from that experience that you're kind of going into this experience? There's a lot of talk about, the physicality of the matches and the blood that's being used. You're there with John Moxley every week and you're seeing this guy, like, he puts it all on the line. He has very passionate, puts everything in every match. It might be even a little bit worried sometimes when you see him there. So take me through what we're going to see this time around and how you feel this one's going to compare to the last year's.
Yeah, well, the last year's it was definitely more of a foreign challenge to me. That was actually my first cage match ever, not just a blood and guts. So it was very foreign to me the first time, but now I feel a lot more comfortable. I'm really excited to get in there. Obviously, I'm not afraid to get a little bit violent. Boston's actually where me and John had our singles match that got me into the BCC. So it's a town I'm very familiar with, and I'm very excited for that match. I think that now just going into it with some experience, I know sort of how to play with those elements a little bit better. Play with the cage, use that more as a weapon as opposed to just something that kind of encloses us in. Also having the one man advantage, hopefully, we'll see where that goes. But knowing how to either have the one man advantage or how to combat the one man advantage if we don't have it. Last year we didn't have it. Jericho Appreciation Society did. So every time a new person comes in, it becomes a handicap match for a little bit. So that was something that we had to struggle with. So I'm not sure how they're going to decide who gets it this year. Hopefully it's us. But either knowing how to combat that or to use it to our advantage, I think will be a key into that match as well.
Being a young wrestler, 26 years old or so, what would you say you do to kind of just take care of yourself? The protection of, wrestling is so intense right now, high impact, high risk moves, anything can happen, but in any kind of match. But for you, is there anything that you do to kind of take care of yourself? You're still, you've done so much already in your career, but you have so much left. So what do you do to kind of keep that, in mind?
Yeah, for me, the most important thing is just to remain active, remain physically fit, and then to listen to our doctors. We have a good medical team at AEW that will always sort of walk us through if we have some questions about something, whether it's safe or not. If we have any injuries, they'll always work with us during the day after the show, no matter what they need to do. So doing that, and then I just like to keep up a variety of my training. Like I like to swim, I like to run, I like to lift weights. So being able to sort of vary the things that I do, hopefully will give me longevity in the long run. But also like being able to listen to the guys that were there before me that, have had some injury issues and how they've sort of dealt with it, being able to talk to Brian, Mox, and Claudio, they've all had major injuries at some point, and they know how to protect themselves and how to keep themselves going. They're all wrestling well beyond my years, so hopefully I'll be able to use that wisdom and then be able to wrestle even longer than them.
And then also, from a mental health standpoint, is there anything you do kind of to disconnect from the wrestling world or social media or things like that? Anything at home that people would be surprised that you have a, like I don't want to say a talent or an interest?
I do have some hobbies that I do. I think I've talked enough about Phillies baseball in these interviews that people know I'm a pretty big Phillies fan. So
Right.
that's certainly a way for me to, I guess, disconnect from everything. I also play steel drum if you're interested in that. During the pandemic, that was on my Twitter. There's a bunch of those videos. Um, but yeah, those are definitely things that I do to like disconnect and just keep tabs on my mental health. And whenever I'm struggling, just that's another thing that AEW is really great at is they have counselors. So if there's any issues or things that I need to bring up, there's a place that I can go as well.
Right. So, we've seen live performances. Maybe we'll have you play an entrance or something with your
Yeah,
steel drums.
when I was it's funny, when I was, I believe, 16, I was a big fan of Colt Cabana's Art of Wrestling podcast. So I was trying to get, and obviously his wrestling as well, but I was trying to get our local independent show to book him. So I learned how to play Copacabana on the steel drum, which he hadn't used his music for like 10 years at that point. But so I tried, but we'll see if the live ever comes to fruition.
All right. Well, if any AEW talent want to request, Wheeler's there for you if you want a live show. I don't know if you're cheap though. I think you might be a high ticket item for performers, but
I don't know. When I was play weddings for like $100, so we'll
oh,
see.
okay. I don't know if we should have said that, man. Yeah, I was trying to help you out. Um, Blackpool Combat Club has such a great array of wrestlers already. Is there anyone that you would want to recruit? Is there what kind of traits would they have to have? I mean, it would be cool to kind of see someone from the women's roster also on, maybe someone we haven't seen in a while kind of be part of it. But what's your opinion?
Yeah, I think that there's like a lot of people that could be a great fit, like just based on their wrestling style, and uh, like there's a lot of people that could be a great fit for the Blackpool Combat Club. When you say women, people come to mind like Layla Hirsch, Jamie Hayter, like they could be great fits. I don't know though if we're necessarily looking to add additional members for right now. It's really great now that we're having Takeshita fight alongside us. Again, I'm not entirely sure if we would call him an official member or anything like that, but just being able to fight alongside him has been awesome. Same with Shota Umino. Being able to fight alongside him in New Japan Strong. Over in Japan, Claudio and Moxley were able to have a 6-man with him, and then of course the Forbidden Door. So I think that they're great people to bring into the fold. Definitely allies of the BCC, but I'm not sure if we're looking to add any new members for right now.
Well, those are some good options, if anything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I know it's kind of farther away. We have All In on the horizon toward the end of the summer, but do you kind of have a dream opponent?
Oh man, I just really want to be on that event, to be
Right.
honest. That whole show just looks absolutely incredible. It's so stacked. If I were to say like an absolute dream opponent, I'd love to win my championship back from Shibata. I'd love to win the pure championship back. So that would be an awesome rematch to have. But yeah, I just want to be on that show.
Awesome. All right. And lastly, your career is going, you have this upward trajectory. Um, Kind of what are you doing to kind of just so you're not inside your own head? All these big opportunities are coming. I'm sure you're feeling, a lot of pressure each week, but you kind of running with the ball. Talk about just in the next year, just what your thoughts are and just how you're kind of going to keep moving forward and just kind of just the overall goals as it kind of aligns with what AEW is doing.
Yeah, it's definitely been uh, a whole whirlwind of things, trying to sort of keep my head on straight and keep going because this has been, like you said, it's been an awesome ride. It's been a wild ride, but there is definitely a lot of pressure. But I speak to the BCC guys, and they're always really great at helping kind of point me in the right direction and keeping me accountable. If I'm doing something wrong, they'll tell me. If I'm just in my own head, they'll tell me that too. So being able to have those mentors has been just an absolute lifesaver because they've really kept my head on straight and kept me going. As far as my personal goals, I guess for the next year would just be to continue to grow as a performer and continue to fill that role and fill those shoes. You know, the BCC is comprised of three of the greatest wrestlers of all time and one young man who's trying to live up to that. So I think that my goal is to be able to take their mentorship and be able to really prove that I belong alongside those other three names. And I hope that I'm well on my way, but I hope that within a year there won't be any more discussion.
Is there anything else that you want to promote social media wise, how people can kind of follow you?
I am terrible at social media, but if you want to check it out, it's at Wheeler Yuta. I think the best that's on Twitter and Instagram. I think the best way, honestly, is just to follow the AEW social media. There's at AEW and then AEW on TV as well. So those are great places to find me. And then, yeah, tune in on Wednesday to watch me kick Kenny Omega's ass.
All right, sounds good. Of course, that is July the 5th. Tickets still on sale at Rogers Place. And then on top of that, July 19th, we have Blood and Guts, as you mentioned, in Boston. So a lot to look forward to. Thank you so much, Wheeler, for the time. It's been incredible to see kind of your journey. Like I said, starting out with humble beginnings and to doing it now in school. Kind of you kept that humble mindset. So you're always looking to do better and you're not letting anything get to your head. So I think you're well on your way. So thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And it's crazy to hear you followed me from MLW at the Guilt nightclub.
Yeah, those are some wild shows, no doubt.
Yeah.
It definitely prepared you, I'd say, for what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.